I hate being right, especially in a scenario like this. And I'm not overtly right yet, but damn, does it feel that way. Whole lot of people in this office were real confident yesterday. Whole lot of people in this office were already looking ahead and talking about, oh, which team would be funner to play in the World Series, the Astros or the Red Sox? And the Los Angeles Dodgers come out and absolutely obliterate the Atlanta Braves in Game 5. Now, I know there are a whole lot of people out there right now that are saying, come on, man, you're still at 3-2. You're coming back home. You just have to win one out of the next two. I want to do this in the most calm way possible and talk through it instead of like jumping back and forth. But I want to start here, Cam, because there's a whole lot of people in this office that will not acknowledge the fact that Atlanta sports are actually cursed.
Kevin.
And well,
Kevin
you
says
too. You
no
too,
curses.
because you told me before we got on the show, you're like, all right, I might start believing if the Braves blow this lead.
Oh, no,
they
no,
literally did the same thing last year.
No, I do believe we're cursed. I'm saying, is everybody else going to start believing?
Well, if you're not believing, what have you been watching? What's the saying from or what did the guy say in Pirates of the Caribbean? He's like, you better start believing in ghost stories because you're in one. Like, yeah, you better start believing in sports curses because you're in one.
Seen it for every Atlanta team, man. Yeah. I don't want to speak too much on it.
I don't know what it is that can break it, because curses can be broken. We've seen that multiple times. Like, just because the Cubs finally won a World Series doesn't mean there wasn't like what 106-year curse.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean there wasn't a curse. So curses are still things, but they can be broken. Now, I don't know what magic you have to break them. Because remember, like the Red Sox had the curse for a long time. It was the curse of the great Bambino. You trade Babe Ruth, all of a sudden you can't win anything, and it took coming back from 3 games down and winning 4 straight against the Yankees to advance to a World Series and finally win one. So curses can be broken. I don't know what you have to do to break them, but just doing research, I think we may have narrowed down. This is from Reddit, like where the curse originally initiated. And I thought, because BJ and I were just kind of talking it out earlier, because he's starting to come around to my side as well, is obviously you weren't cursed pre-1995 because you win the World Series in 95, right? All these calamities have happened since. Georgia won a national championship in 1980. They went back to another one and lost that one, but still you were competitive all the way through, right? And then in 1991, your baseball team flips around and you end up winning a World Series in 1995. So something happened post 1995. And so the first thing we thought of is the Olympics. It has to have started in the Olympics, right? Because then the Braves go and they can't win a World Series again with Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, some of the best teams ever, the best starting trio ever of all time. And you only won one World Series. Something happened. And so just reading on Reddit, it said IOC President Juan Antonio, and I don't want to pronounce this wrong, but Samaranch allegedly told Billy Payne that Atlanta was a disgrace to the Olympics, and he publicly snubbed the city by calling the games, quote, most exceptional instead of the best Olympics ever.
So that's what you believe where the curse started?
I think the curse started in 1996.
I think you said it a couple of weeks ago. We can't be good at both. Either Atlanta is going to be good at sports or we're going to be good at rapping. And
I can assure you I didn't say that.
Well, I guess I heard it from somebody. They said we have to pick one. We can't be good at both. And
is Atlanta even the best for rapping?
Oh, by far, yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's not close.
Better than like Houston?
Yeah.
Better than LA? Better than New York?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, talk to our own Ben Troop about that, but
he's from Swainsboro. Like, of course he's gonna say Atlanta.
Nah, Atlanta is up there and rapping, but it's like we can't have both. We got to be good at just one, and currently it's just.
I don't know what rule where that comes from. I don't know if that one's ever been laid down. No, I feel like somebody got really upset with the city of Atlanta, and apparently it was someone in the Olympic committee got upset with the city of Atlanta, and there's been a curse on since. So now I think the investigation becomes, how do we break the curse? Because something has to happen. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, the MLS one.
No, it doesn't count.
If it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like creating a championship, but like if the team didn't exist, when the curse was laid on, then that doesn't count. They're not grandfathered into the curse.
We have a chance to break the curse 2 times this year. The Braves right now.
Please don't say it. Please don't say it. Please just stop.
Want me to say the other team?
God, no. Please, no. The Braves are still up 3-2, but I wanted to ask you this. I feel like Game 6 is a must-win.
Heck yeah.
Because I think mindset-wise, because people keep saying, oh, yeah, 2 to win 1. Mindset-wise, if you lose Game 6 and this series is tied again after what happened last year, like it's the fan base is going to be mentally shot. Freddie Freeman's already acknowledging the sports curse after the game last night. I think you're mentally shot.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna put it like this.
I think you have to win Game 6. If you go into Game 7 and it's Walter Buehler,
yeah, it's a must win because it's just one for all in the Game 7. And I'm not gonna lie to you, in a one for all type of game, anybody would be a fool not to pick the Dodgers though. Especially coming back down 3-1. Yeah, like you just have to win one game now. So if you're the Braves, you want to try to end this tomorrow because then it's a lot of pressure. That pressure I said they didn't have at first, it's a lot of pressure going into a Game 7.
And I'm being tweeted at and saying, "Oh, Chris, you were talking all this belief after they went up 2-0." No. I was reading an article from the LA Times where they said this game wouldn't be leaving Los Angeles, and that was clearly wrong.
He was confronting the bleep.
Yeah, like they were wrong too. So like it's okay. There's a difference between me talking bleep and me saying you were pretty clearly wrong about this. Because they said, I think, quote, the audiences were kind of underserved because they were served the main dish before the appetizer, referring to the Giants versus the Dodgers. Whereas this game is, if the Dodgers win, it's going to go to 7.
Yep.
So it's just, listen, I know Kevin's going to come on here in about 50 minutes, and he's going to tell you why everything's fine and why if you lose, it's not a curse. They're just the better team. You were up 3-1.
Yeah, again, for the second straight year. Yeah, we got to stop using those excuses, man. If we're talking about putting a winning product on the table, it's a curse if they lose again. I will put it like that.
It's already a curse. It's just we have to figure out.
Oh yeah, it's already
how to break it. I just wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way because I mean. I don't know what you break down baseball-wise because this series has been so weird. Max Fried just didn't look good last night. He wasn't in command last night. You couldn't hit anything last night. They had a bullpen game. Everyone was talking. Everyone was so excited because they're like, yeah, Max Fried versus a bullpen game. Well, their bullpen shut you down. They had one bad pitch in the game because Joe Kelly got hurt, and Freddie Freeman launched that one into center field, and you take a 2-0 lead. Outside of that, they absolutely demolished you. And so you have to come home and get right. And guess who you're facing in your get right game? Max Scherzer, a walking Hall of Famer.
So
I mean, just get ready.
Too good for the Braves, man.
You better be a truist, and you better be loading that thing out, and just that hype needs to be real inside truist. What you saw, because I know a lot of people were making fun of the Dodgers, me included for seeing those red taillights. But when they were on, that stadium was on. Like that shot at Cody Bellinger hitting that 3-run jack in Game 3 was awesome. Like you need that at Truist. I'm sick of looking behind the stands in Truist and just seeing like it's a huge situation, 1-run game, and there's a bunch of people sitting down eating popcorn.
I can't. But you know what? That's been the Atlanta thing lately. I went to the Falcons and Washington game. It was terrible. I was disappointed in the fans. I'm sure you've been to the Dome before, right?
The Dome's gone.
Yeah,
Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah,
listen,
the old Dome.
I will say this. If you want to have, I was at the Dome when the Falcons were making playoff runs.
That
was live. And that was live.
And exactly, it was not the same.
Well, no, but like
close game, people sitting down.
But it's so different to me, right? You're talking about the terrible Atlanta Falcons playing the atrocious Washington football team in an early season, regular season game versus the Atlanta Braves playing the Los Angeles Dodgers in the NLCS. That's like saying you experienced the same thing when the Falcons were playing the Rams in NFC Championship game, right?
Yeah.
If it was the same, yeah, but that to me is they're so different. But
it's just I'm not getting.
There's a difference between a
vibe from
sellout
Atlanta
and
right
and
now.
having a home field advantage. And I think
Mhm.
you need to look behind home plate. And I get it. Typically, the people who are sitting behind home plate in the NLCS have some bills to spend on some money or on some
Yeah.
seats, and they're probably not.
There for a chill night.
Well, no, they're probably not the most wild people to have behind home plate, right?
Mhm.
So you have a bunch of people that have spent thousands of dollars getting behind home plate for the NLCS. They're going to sit in their cushiony chairs and they're going to watch the game, eat popcorn, and drink their giant beers. Like, I get it. But when it's a one-run game, you have 2 strikes and you have 2 outs, you need to be standing up and cheering your pitcher on, right? When you have runners on first and second, you need to be up, hyping up your guy standing behind home plate. You have to be getting loud. I haven't seen that at Truist when the Braves have been at home, but we'll see. You got 2 more chances. But I really feel like Game 6 is a must-win. It's going to be Ian Anderson and Max Scherzer.
Oh, my man, Ian on the mound.
He had a rough go of it early in the series.
It's okay. That's okay.
But he gets a chance to bounce back, and he's only pitching against, like I said, maybe the best pitcher in baseball and a walking Hall of Famer. So we'll see what happens. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to get to our picks coming up in a little bit. We'll talk about the weekend that's upcoming in college football as well. I know a lot of people saying a down weekend, but I think there's some really fun games out there. We'll dive into all that next right here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Christian Gokel alongside Cam Urshry. And we're just blessed and honored and humbled to be joined by one Peter Joseph Zuko Jr.
There we go. What a man.
PJ ZJ. I found that out yesterday, Cam.
Yeah.
It's PJ ZJ.
That's
I thought it
PJ,
was just
PJ.
I thought it was just Peter Jr. and that's why he was PJ, but apparently he doubled down on the J's. So it's Peter Joseph Zuko Jr. So you got two J's.
Oh, yeah.
Zuko,
I could be PJ too. Who knows?
P double J.
PJ squared.
Just gonna call you double J.
I don't know if that's what. I don't know if it works that way.
Can we just call PJ Dr. J?
Let's
Oh,
just
Lord.
stay with PJ.
Is that
I think-
sacrilegious? All right.
I think PJ's worked for a long time.
I don't know if it does or not. I think that's a you opinion.
Wow. Okay. I guess I'll take a poll. We'll see.
Maybe I'm just upset because there's too many J's in here. We got BJ and we got PJ.
Right. So
and
you
if
need
just,
to
like, say
add
their name. If
more?
you're just like, hey, B, and they're like, you say my name? No, I don't want either one of y'all.
Oh, you just want to. Okay.
Yeah, I just get mad.
Just want to.
I don't want to talk to y'all anymore.
Just square them all and get them out of here. Cut them all.
It's already been a wild weekend of college football, guys. You guys see what happened over on Wednesday? All right. I got 2 points about this game. You guys see what happened? Coastal Carolina, App State.
No, I see App State won.
They sure did.
Mhm.
Everyone's favorite country music singer, Chase Bryce. He's not actually a country music singer, but it sounds
Right,
like it.
right.
The quick trivia time. You know where Chase Bryce played before he played at App State?
I do. Do you know Cam?
Cam?
No.
Clemson.
Clemson. He was a Clemson backup quarterback, transferred to App State. He was the one who saved them that Syracuse game where Trevor Lawrence got hurt.
Oh,
Would've
a
been
couple
the-
years back.
yeah,
Would have been the second.
Yeah, year in a row they
Syracuse
lost to
lost to-
Syracuse.
yeah.
Yep.
Chase Bryce.
Yeah, Chase Bryce with a 347-yard performance in that game, absolutely lit up Coastal Carolina. But here's what kills me is you are the Sun Belt, and I think the Sun Belt now with all the conference realignment going on is on the precipice of becoming probably the top G5 conference. With as good as Louisiana and Coastal and App have been, and as good as Georgia Southern can be, I think they're on the cusp of becoming that like top ranked G5 conference, right? Or I guess it could potentially be the G4 with the way they're scalping each other for
True.
for teams. But you're playing your marquee game of the season on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. That's not great.
Like even if you want to do it on a Thursday, that's a little bit different to me. But that just kind of like I know it's the SEC, but the SEC don't play Wednesday games, man.
No.
And like if you want the primetime TV, you got to do it on a certain day. But I mean, the best matchups on Thursday were Tulane, SMU, FAU, Charlotte, Louisiana, Arkansas State, San Jose State, UNLV. You can't play Coastal Carolina, App State on Thursday.
I mean, you definitely could, and you definitely should have.
Like-
Well, I mean,
But look what happens is your best chance at making at least rattling your saber a little bit and making some noise. Coastal Carolina, they lose.
Yeah.
If you don't think a lot of that had to do with the fact they played on a Wednesday, I'm not taking anything away from App State. App State's a really good program. They went and got a really good quarterback
for
and Chase
sure.
Bryce a chance for in there. But you don't think that had a little bit to do with it? You're crazy.
yeah, I feel like it definitely did.
And so now you're kind of out of every conversation when it comes to like you don't have the fun talk about Coastal Carolina anymore, right? Like
Mhm.
last year they were the darling of the G5, them in Cincinnati, and now you don't have that conversation anymore this year, and especially since Coastal Carolina lost. So I thought that one was interesting, but we were already off to a hot start for this week. But we do have some big games coming up. Do you have your Oklahoma, Kansas? Absolutely. Sure you do. But you have undefeated Wake Forest going to play Army. That's a noon kick.
Yeah.
I think that one's going to be fun. Cam is showing zero interested in Wake Forest Army, but Wake Forest is undefeated, Cam. They are an undefeated football team. Only undefeated team in the ACC.
They lose about 2-3 games.
I think they're going to lose this week is why I bring that up. They're playing Army. You have Oklahoma State at Iowa State, which I find fascinating because I think a lot of people thought this one was going to be flipping the script a little bit at the beginning of the year, where Oklahoma State would probably come in struggling, and Iowa State, were they at top 6? I know they were top 6. Were they 6 to start the season?
Yeah, they were number
6 or 7. Yeah.
Were they number 4?
Let me see.
I
don't
think they might
think
have
they
been.
were top
I think they might have
5.
been a damn top 4 team. to stop the year. Either way, they were a very highly rated team to start. They are unranked now, but Oklahoma State comes in. They are undefeated in this game. Also at 3:30, you got number 10 Oregon at UCLA, which UCLA, talk about a roller coaster of a season. Everybody was ready to say Chip Kelly's back
For sure.
after they took down LSU. It's kind of like it's kind of the same thing you did in Mississippi State last year, where they just put 700 yards up through the air against LSU in Baton Rouge, and you were like, "Holy cow, Mississippi State's here!" You're like, no, they're not. LSU's just bad.
Mm-hmm. We have those notable teams, right? You have, of course, you have your elite of the elites, right? You have Alabama, Georgia, your Oklahomas, who are going to be the top of their conference, and then you have the subsidiary. I feel like teams that are always pretty impressive. And this year, we've had a lot of those teams drop off. Really quickly. And it's been like, oh, that's a really solid win. And then you look 2 weeks later and it's like, oh, they've lost 3 games straight. That's weird. But like, I feel like Iowa State's kind of in that mold. Like you have LSU in that mold this year. Wisconsin's in that mold. So yeah, I mean, like you said, you value that victory super high when UCLA gets it. And then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, maybe they're not
Iowa
that
State
great.
was number 7 to start the year.
Gotcha.
That was something silly, but number 7 to start
I think
the
they
year.
got up into the top 5 at one point, but then they lost to Iowa.
Let's take a look, because they won week 1. They beat Northern Iowa by 6 points week 1, but we were like, oh, no, it's just a week 1 game.
I think they lost to Iowa week 2 or 3. So
no, they dropped down to number 9 and then lost to Iowa.
oh, there you go.
Yeah, so they kind of been on that downward trajectory the entire year. But some other fun ones coming up this weekend, and we're going to get into our picks in the next segment. But you have Tennessee at Alabama. I think this one could be fun. Yeah, just because that Tennessee offense is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They had a weird week last week, and that game was just a cluster on both sides of the ball. I think both offenses were just so hyped to play each other that they were like kind of and just tripped out of the starting gate.
Right,
like those are 2 bad defenses.
Yep.
And what did Ole Miss score? Like 26 points and won that game.
Yeah, all of a sudden
31-26.
Yeah,
I think.
All of a sudden it looked like they were pretty good, but like you said, it was kind of that's how that game was destined to be, though, right? I mean, you said it verbatim last week. Like, this is going to be a weird game that's in the 20s because everyone wants it to be 72-69. And look what happened. Not only that, but you also a trash on the field at the end, bad calls everywhere. So,
isn't Hendon Hooker still hurt though?
I believe he is banged up, but you still have Joe Milton that can play quarterback for him. So I mean,
Hooker's been on fire this year. 12.
Hooker's
TDs,
been good. Like that offense kind of unlocked a little bit when they put Hendon Hooker in there. I think it was the Pitt game where Joe Milton was overthrowing everybody by like 10 yards. And then you had Hendon Hooker come in and they almost end up winning that game. But then you lose to Pitt, who like has maybe the best quarterback, I'm saying.
He's certainly definitely top 5.
Probably the best quarterback, definitely the best quarterback in the ACC this year.
21 touchdowns and 1 interception. That's my guy, Kenny Pickett, up there at Pitt. Speaking of Pitt, if you guys just want to go ahead and talk about the Pitt Panthers, they got a big old football game coming up this weekend. They are hosting the Clemson Tigers. Is it at Heinz Field?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. They don't have another. They don't have another stadium up there, so
there you go.
Can't find.
Y'all run out of room? What happened?
Yeah, I can't find their own. So
can't find any what?
Can't find their own.
Can't find any what?
Oh,
you don't have enough what?
They can't find any room there.
They can't find any room. Oh, we got a Twitter comment here from Gene Clemens. Says Chase Bryce is, quote, a really good quarterback, ? Yeah, he is. He's got 1,800 yards passing on the season so far. He's got 10 touchdowns. He's a good quarterback.
When you say spectacular,
I didn't say elite. He's a really good quarterback.
Yes, it's a difference. Sorry
they couldn't beat out Trevor Lawrence.
Nobody.
Neither could Gardner Minshew.
Lawrence, yeah.
So here we are.
True.
That being said, I do think that Pitt Clemson game is going to be fun. I have a sneaky feeling Clemson makes a statement in this game. It's just it's setting up for the ACC to just collapse in on itself and just kind of dissolve into a black hole that sucks up the entire Eastern Seaboard.
And it's weird, but Clemson's now in that position to play spoiler the rest of the year with whoever they play.
Can I take an above view real quick?
Sure.
Just like of the show, I'm pulling myself out of body and looking over the show. This is so much more fun than talking about what we were talking about before.
Oh, I wasn't here, so.
Oh, you talking about the Braves?
Yes, this is so much more fun.
Yeah, that's kind of
because that's just anxiety riddled and just bleh. This is fun.
It
Well,
doesn't
this
stress
is
me.
yeah,
I'm used
this
to
is
it.
like coping 101, right? You just don't think about
You
it.
just dive
leave it
into the
leave it in
candy.
the background, and then look this other way, and ooh, fun things over here. You're gonna have to deal with that on the right in a little bit, but
PJ,
just not right now.
We're picking this game, but you're our expert here. Is Wisconsin going to throttle Purdue?
They're not gonna throttle them, but this is what.
Is anyone like on that side of the Big Ten capable of throttling anybody?
No, this is like Ryan Fitzpatrick when he gets a starting job, right? You putting expectations on Purdue.
Oh.
They're gonna lose.
Purdue does
it's-
better when they're sneaky.
Yeah, it's like
All
when
right.
Iowa gets placed number 2 in the nation. Like, they're gonna lose. It's gonna happen no matter who's on the schedule. Like you said, no one over there is built in the West is built to just be dominant all year. And I mean, I look back. Purdue has 2 losses, and they're not good. Like, they lost by 14 to Notre Dame, which I know Wisconsin lost to Notre Dame too. But again, they had a lead in the fourth quarter in that one. Like, if Purdue doesn't lose this game, it's going to be close. But either way, once you start putting expectations on them, they start losing. It's just how the West is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Not fun, not gunslingers, just man.
No, it's that you had Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game last year,
Hey,
and everyone tried to hype up that.
They
you
almost
leave
won.
Pat
They
Fitzgerald
tried to
alone.
hype up that game, man. He's a good coach, solid coach. I like him, but I mean, it's just there's not a lot of stuff.
If you
over
do
there,
want
you
a game to watch just for pure entertainment value, Georgia Tech, Virginia
yes,
is the game for you.
agreed.
7:30 on the ACC network. You have an offense at Georgia Tech that's kind of finding their stride a little bit, but they just play stupid games. Like it's always fun. And then Armstrong, the quarterback for Virginia. How about this stat line? We are 7 games into the season. He has 329 attempts, 2,824
Swinging it,
yards, 19 touchdowns for Armstrong there. So that I think it's
It's a lot of passes.
relatively meaningless, I'll say, in the grand scheme of things, but it's going to be a fun game.
Which it's this point in the season, right? Every week you're gonna have a few games that are super important. You know, you might be lucky enough to have like a top 10, top 20 matchup, and then you're gonna have games you're gonna have to find to have some fun, especially like noon. You know, it's just that time of year. But there are some entertaining, fun games out there for sure, and that's one of them. I think you have the potential of Georgia Tech to slow down that offense a little bit and score on their own and have some fun, but I mean, if Virginia gets going, man, look out. They can put 50 on the board real quick.
The other thing I'll say is we are not completely removed, and we'll talk about this and we'll go to break and come back and do our picks.
Yeah.
We are not completely like out of the realm of possibility. Actually, I think it's probably the most likely thing that's going to happen from Clemson still winning the ACC.
Yep.
So obviously
Right.
you have to win out, and it starts with Pitt this weekend. But NC State is the team in the conference that has the win over Clemson right now, and they're undefeated in conference play. But coming up on their schedule, they have Miami this week, which Miami's not good. NC State should win that game, but it's at Miami, so who knows? Weird things have happened. Then you have Louisville at home, which Louisville's not a bad team, but you also have to play at Florida State. They play Wake Forest, who's undefeated right now. They play Syracuse at home, and then they have North Carolina at home. If they drop 2 of those games and Clemson wins out, Clemson's in the ACC championship.
Yeah. In almost every single one of those games, I could see them dropping. And maybe not this week, but there are some other games that you rattled off there that are worrisome. Because I don't know. They're undefeated in conference play right now, too, but there's not a belief in them for me. They're not really.
Well, no one from
a
the ACC
complete
is doing
team.
anything significant unless Wake Forest somehow, some way.
Even then,
And
yeah.
you got to get past those Army Black Knights this weekend. If somehow, some way goes undefeated and wins this conference. We were talking to Roddy Jones yesterday on 3 and Out, and he made an interesting point, or BJ asked him this, and he made an interesting point where it's, if Wake Forest goes undefeated and wins the ACC, are you putting them in the college football playoff?
Me personally,
No.
or what he said?
Are you putting them in the college football
Probably
playoff?
not. No,
Wake Forest, undefeated Power 5 conference champion.
that's fine. I wouldn't have put Washington in a few years ago. They weren't good enough, and they showed that.
So you're putting like theoretically a 1-loss Ole Miss who didn't play in their conference championship game, a 1-loss Georgia who lost to Alabama in the SEC championship
Yeah, it's a
game,
different
Absolutely.
story.
1-loss Oregon who lost to Stanford over them. You're putting a 1-loss Ohio State over them who lost to Oregon.
basically everyone you named, except for I feel like the outlier there is the Ole Miss situation. But basically everyone else you named, I would put in over Wake Forest.
Okay, so at that point, you just need to blow the entire system up, because what's the point of being an undefeated Power 5 conference champion if you're not going to the college football playoff?
Yeah, it's been flawed.
Of course, it's like every system you have is going to be
because
flawed,
you run out of excuses. Like there's always something where it's like, yeah, you have one loss, but this team has the head-to-head over this team, which be you, which has this thing, and this team's better, and this team's better, and this team's better. Undefeated conference champion. Power 5 conference champion. Like Clemson goes undefeated and wins the ACC.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
They're in.
Yeah.
Or I'd even say Clemson has one loss to Georgia and goes undefeated and wins the ACC. They're probably in. What is the difference in that and going undefeated if you're Wake Forest?
No, you're absolutely right. That's what I was about to say. Clemson does it freaking every year and makes it. So what's the difference for Wake Forest?
Why has the criteria changed?
It's the name. It's the name.
Yeah,
that's how they do it.
Kind of. I think it also depends on who you play that year and how good was your team, how good were the opponents you played. I mean, why we talk
Clemson.
About this with the SEC every single year.
We talk
right?
about this with Clemson every single year, but they still get in.
No. What is it? So, like, you have one loss in SEC play because, well, it's one loss, but it's against a really good team, probably, right? So we're just going to look over that loss. If you don't have any losses, but you didn't play anybody, and not only that, but like the Notre Dame argument from a few years ago too, the teams that you played weren't that great in the first place, and you still only beat them by like 3 to 7 points every single week. What's that great? What's that? There's nothing that great about your resume. Yeah, sure, you won all your games on your schedule, but you're not a very good football team, and you're probably going to get beat 31-0 in the semifinal.
But says who that you're not a very good football team?
Says me.
Like, that's the argument we always come. That's the argument we always come back to is like you start going through it and you're like, okay, well, you start with quality wins, right? Is the first place you look, and then you start with resume, and then you look at their undefeated conference champions. Well, then like the only reason you have at that point to not put them in is, well, you're just not as good. Why? Well, because when I look at you, you're not as good on the eyeball test as this team. How do you know? If we didn't play them and we beat everybody set forth in front of us on our schedule, how are they then not deserving of a chance to go? If these are the quote-unquote Power 5, so obviously the conference champ from each one can't make it in every year. I understand that. But if one of them's undefeated and the rest have one loss, how are they not one of the 4? And I think this is the reason why 4 doesn't work for me. And there's almost a 0% chance that Wake Forest goes undefeated. But this is one of the flaws that you have is if they go undefeated, you would not be the only person saying that. They would be like, no, of course one loss Alabama is better than Wake Forest. How? Why do you know that? Because you're looking at recruiting rankings?
No, that has nothing to do with it to me.
Because of who they played? Well, the common opponents. Like, who are you talking about? Like, where are you getting this from? And the transitive factor doesn't work in college football. I said Georgia beat Clemson by 7 points.
So Wake Forest beats them, say, by 7 points.
Georgia beat Clemson by 7 points.
And Wake Forest is what, 16?
I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm saying the transitive factor doesn't matter because things happen. Players get hurt, game plans change, people get film on you, players get better, players get worse. The transitive factor doesn't count. It doesn't matter in college football to me. Like every team typically has a scare to a team they shouldn't have a scare against. It doesn't matter. It's football, man. The ball is a weird shape. But what PJ said right there, and I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying there's no actual factual argument to back this up is I watch them and they're not good, even though they won every game. They're not as good as that team that has one loss. Then something's broken, man. Like then you're saying we only decided based off of eyeball test when it comes down to it, and that's why we put teams in. And resume and being a conference champion and going undefeated doesn't actually matter. It only matters when it fits your narrative of getting the teams you want in the playoffs into the playoffs, right? That's when it's broken, and that's why we need a bigger playoff.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I agree that we need a bigger playoff. You're right about that.
No, you can't.
Well, what do you disagree with?
I agree with that the system is broken and that all that stuff. But I also agree that, I don't know, there are more factors that you can look at certain teams and look at teams that they've played, like, over the course of the year and determine how good they are too. I think that's how we do with everybody, right? I mean, you look at each team and you judge how good they are, how good their schedule is, and you have rankings and freaking metrics and all that people
TJ,
use that I'm not smart
I'm
enough
not-
to use.
I'm not trying to
But
like,
that-
completely
that's how
disagree with
that's
you
how
here,
we
but,
that's
like,
how we
rankings
judge
don't
like
matter,
how,
man.
It's fine. Then how else do we judge how strong the SEC is and how strong the Big Ten is and how much we
That's a
should
great
value
question.
that win over this win or
That's a
this
great
win over
question.
that win? So at the end of it, like, I mean, how do we judge any of this stuff? Because if you go undefeated and you have champions just get an automatic bid into the playoff or whatever, well, then that's wrong and messed up too. So there's always a different angle and there's always a different reason why the whole system's broken.
But like
I mean,
like, looking at Wake Forest schedule, they beat Old Dominion, which apparently is becoming a member of the Sun Belt. But they beat Old Dominion, they beat Norfolk State. All right, fine. They played 2 cupcakes. So did Auburn to start the year, right?
yeah, everyone does.
Right. They beat Florida State, and then they beat the hell out of them, 35-14. They beat Virginia, and they beat the hell out of them, 37-17. They beat Louisville. They beat Syracuse. They were on a bye week last week, but the rest of their schedule is Army, who's a good team, and you're playing at West Point. Army, Duke, at North Carolina, home against NC State, at Clemson, at Boston College. That's not good enough.
And then probably Pitt in the ACC championship.
Right. That's not good enough.
Right. We'll see at the end of the year.
I mean, now
but what I'm saying is, if that's not good enough, what is?
no, I get what
You
you're
have
saying.
to be in the SEC,
I get what you're
or you
saying.
have to be in the Big Ten,
But
or you have to
if
be
they go
Clemson.
undefeated with that remaining schedule at Clemson, at Boston College itself is tough. At
I don't
North
care
Carolina,
if you win every game by
that's
1
tough.
point in triple.
No,
overtime.
yeah, I agree. Now, if they win out and then win the ACC championship, then boom, you should put them in over Ole Miss.
Now, here's where I think we're going to
over-
separate it. We're going to have
yeah.
to just do like one word picks in the next segment. But here's where I think we're getting it mixed up is, am I saying if Wake Forest does that, they're one of the best 4 teams in the country? Absolutely
No.
not. Absolutely not.
It's
I'm
the
not
Notre
saying
Dame
that.
treatment.
I'm not saying
That's
that.
what
I'm
it
not
is.
saying that they're one of the best 4 teams in the country, because I'm with you. I look at that team and I say Alabama, Georgia, probably 5 teams from the Big Ten would beat them. I clearly don't think they're one of the best 4 teams in the country, but I can't say that as a fact. I can't say that as a fact. And then
I agree, but you can't ever say any of it as a fact.
but then you're determining the champion off of a theorem. You're saying because I think that these are the 4, that's who the champion is going to be, and potentially you could be leaving the best team out.
Yeah.
So that's why it has to be expanded. That's why you have to give these teams more opportunities, because you are going to leave somebody deserving out every single year. And I think that's the case. Can we look at Georgia and can we look at Wake Forest and say they're 2 undefeated teams, but we all know that Georgia would just lambaste them by 50 points if they played? You think that would happen. You don't know it. And you won't know it unless you give them the opportunity. So that's my Wake Forest tangent for the day. We'll come back. We'll do our picks next right here on Second Down. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Got to go fast here on our weekly picks here because, guys, we have laid out top 10 games of the weekend, and we go in chronological order. So you'll be watching this and you can go along with your picks throughout the day. Start off noon kick, number 16, Wake Forest. They are 3-point favorites at Army.
I'll go with Wake Forest. They win this game.
Yeah, I'll go Wake.
You guys were just saying that Army was going to get beat. You want to see the end.
No,
of
I say Wake Forest
Yeah,
lose
you-
3 games this
You
year.
guys, all right.
But it
Well,
won't be this one.
I do think the narrative comes to an end. I'll take the Army Black Knights in this one at home. Syracuse at Virginia Tech. The Hokies are 3-point favorites at home.
Virginia Tech, yeah.
Yep, Virginia Tech.
I will go with Virginia Tech as well. And maybe the most exciting matchup of the day, Wisconsin at number 25, Purdue. Purdue, 3.5-point favorites at home.
Absolutely not. But no, I'm going with Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Purdue's probably going to lose this one. If they don't, it's going to be within 3.
Oh, no.
I'm going to have to go the Boilermakers, man. Shout out to the Boilermakers.
Weird.
Give me Purdue.
Yeah, I think Wisconsin's going to win this game. And the 3.5 points at home for Purdue. Yeah, give me Wisconsin. All right, you have LSU at number 12, Ole Miss. This is the 3:30 CBS game. Ole Miss, 8-point favorites at home.
Yeah, that offense starts rolling again. They get back on track, and Ole Miss puts up like 40, 45.
Heck yeah, give me Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ole Miss at home as well. I think that offense gets back on track this week after a weird week against Tennessee. All right, maybe the game of the week, at least one of the more significant ones. Clemson at number 23, Pitt. Pitt is a 3.5-point favorite at home.
I'm rolling with Pitt. I
right.
think this offense is something to believe in. I think Kenny Pickett is solid, and they're going to light up Clemson, and Clemson with that offense is not going to be able to keep track and keep up.
Clemson's offense is anemic. That's the word.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll go Pitt.
I like that. You're picking up, Cam. You're picking up on little sayings. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to go with Clemson in this game. I think their defense is still elite. I think the offense gets enough points against this Pitt defense to get it done. And again, you're giving me Clemson and 3.5 points. I'll take the Tigers. Boston College at Louisville. Louisville, 5.5-point favorites at home.
Boston College was playing really well to start the season. Lost their quarterback, kind of had a bit of a slowdown there in the middle of the way. They're kind of falling by the wayside here. Louisville's a strong team that lost to some good opponents. So give me Louisville.
Give me Boston College.
Cam rocking with BC.
Like I like BC.
He
Give me
loves
Boston
Matt
College.
Ryan. He loves Boston College.
Yes,
He's
sir.
rocking with Boston College. Give me Louisville at home. 5.5-point favorites. I think they cover that. Tennessee at Alabama. The number 4 ranked Crimson Tide, 25-point favorites at home.
I know a lot of people were looking at Mississippi State last week and were like, oh, they
No,
Mike
Alabama
Leach.
always clobbers Mississippi State.
Well,
I
that's
don't
the
know
thing.
why. They're
Yeah,
just
but
really
they're like,
mean to them.
Mike Leach, that offense, they could keep up with them, blah, blah, blah. This is the team, I think, that could keep up with Alabama. And guess what? They're not going to run on
Third
defense.
Saturday in October, baby.
They're not going to run 3 down linemen against Alabama on defense
It's
like
true.
Ole Miss did
It's probably
with
true.
whatever they were trying to do. But they make this interesting for sure. Alabama still by like 2 touchdowns, but that spread's just way too big. Give me Tennessee.
Hendon Hooker's not. He might not play even if he does. He's banged up. Roll Tide roll. I'll go with Bama.
Alabama has re-identified itself as we're going to hand the ball to Brian Robinson and just smack you in the face
Yeah.
and then do play action off of that. I'm kind of with PJ. They could win this one 34-10 or something like that, but Tennessee would still cover. So I think that 25 is a lot. Give me Tennessee in that one. All right, USC at number 13, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, 7-point favorites at home. It's a game that's kind of fallen off the national radar here.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one that normally I know Notre Dame. I've been saying they play their games really close every single week, but USC is not what they have been in the past this
Fired
year.
their coach
So,
like 2 to 3 weeks in the season. So.
yeah, give me Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'll go Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame
Yeah.
covers at home, and they're just
Dang.
sitting there sneaky at number 13,
Have they played like every game at home this year? I feel like. I mean, that's
except for their first one against Florida State. You know,
first
Florida
one.
State
Florida
had
State.
it, Florida State where Mike Norvell iced his kicker.
Yeah.
You had that one. Number 18, NC State. They are 3.5-point favorites at Miami.
Yeah, NC State. I don't really believe in NC State as a football team being really good, but Miami is not great at all this year.
Don't know what's happened to Miami. I'll go NC State.
Lost
man.
to Eric King. That's one big thing.
I'm hurt.
I want to go with Miami. I just can't. Give me NC State on the road. And finally, Georgia Tech at Virginia. Virginia, 6.5-point favorites at home.
and Virginia can light up the scoreboard. I like Georgia Tech, but when they faced a team that can really score some points a few weeks ago, they got lit up by Pitt. Give me Virginia.
Virginia, they got the nation's leading passer, so Virginia.
We'll be 404 the culture here and rock with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Going to get some Waffle
There you
House
go. There's
after.
our picks. I mean, probably go get some Waffle House. 404 the culture. All that noise.
Yeah.
Me and Jeff Collins hanging out. Now we got to take a quick break. We'll come back. Final segment, second down next. Second Down on ESPN Radio is presented to you by the Uniform Source. Got a massive week coming up starting on Monday. Obviously, I mean, PJ, we're technically in it right now because both teams are in the bye week, but starting on Monday is Georgia-Florida week.
Yeah, it's Penn State, Ohio State next week. Let's
is
go.
It really?
Yeah.
No way.
No, really.
That is fantastic. That's going to be a great day of football. But it's Georgia-Florida week. And
You're
Penn
right,
State, Ohio State is like, it's kind of a side dish.
I get it.
What time are they playing?
I don't know. No, I think
Wow.
it should be 7:30.
Okay, cool. So like once you get done with the world's largest, then you can go home and watch Ohio State, Penn State. But where you should do it at is at the Westin on Jekyll Island.
There you go.
Because we are doing Ben Troop's Florida Georgia Legends series coming up. We will be out there broadcasting both on Thursday and Friday from 2 to 6. And then on Friday after 6 o'clock, we have the Legends series. Former players from Georgia and Florida legends like Willie McClendon are going to be out there that you can come out and meet, shake hands with them, and then listen to them tell stories about this game. So really looking forward to that weekend coming up. There are still rooms available at the Westin on Jekyll Island. Head to espncoastal.com, look up the Legend Series. Should be one of the first links up there, and you can book your reservation through there. So that's just the perfect place to stay. Go down and watch Georgia just beat the hell out of Florida. Then you come back up and you watch Penn State beat Ohio State. It'll be a great night. All that coming up next Friday. We will talk to everyone on Monday.